Good. Who are pilers? They put everything in the inbox. No folders, also known as Gmail. All right. Okay. So in this scenario, whether you're a filer or a piler, you have all the richness of the conversation there no matter where you are in your inbox. And it's all grouped together, so you don't have to scroll 100 levels down to see a message and try to figure out because it's in date order. Everything is naturally brought together. Including your sent items, which I like too, is you're able to go in and as you're sending and receiving messages, you optionally can include your deleted items, your sent items. I love the sent items one because it's inevitable someone forwards the message. I send a message to Stephen with an attachment. Stephen forwards that message to Patrick, and then you don't get the attachment, do you? So what do? You send me a message saying, hey, can I have that attachment? Now, I could go back into my folders, I could use search, but since I have that message from my sent items right in my conversation, your message would be incorporated in that conversation, and I would see that attachment and right that I would hit and send it out. Okay, we talked about those annoying conversations, those ones that go on forever, like this one here that was accidentally sent to everybody at Contoso about a housewarming party, and we can see the people are getting more. Again, here's my favorite. Whoops, where is it? My favorite one. This one by the please stop replying all, which was a reply all to everybody. Clearly, what are your options here? One, find the original person and have a discussion with them, perhaps using some violence, but I'm not condoning that. But the second thing is you delete, 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 delete. You can try to create an inbox rule, which could be a little bit of magic sometimes because you may end up losing a message accidentally. Or if you're using Exchange 2010, you can use our new Ignore Conversation button. Just like that. And if I click OK here, all the current and any future messages in this conversation go to the magical location of the deleted items folder. So just like that, I've now removed a pile of email that I wasn't even going to read. It's not relevant to what I'm doing right now. And in one click, I'm able to get rid of that. Common question I get, Ken always says to me, what happens if you hit the wrong message or you accidentally ignored a conversation that you didn't mean to? Like any good mute button, there's an unmute button. So if we scroll down through all this crap, so let's go down to the actual messages. I don't know. All right, you're ruining my timing, my demo environment. So let's find one of those messages from that conversation. If we find any one of those messages in the conversation, we can easily just right mouse click, or here's one, and we can cancel the ignore conversation. And just like that, we've unmuted the conversation. It's now back into our inbox like nothing ever happened. Who's going to like that feature?
Lovely.
All right. There's also some other neat things you can do. You can always move a conversation. Say you don't want the location to be in the deleted items. You can say, hey, here's a project I'm working on, but you know what? I am so focused on the bus tour. I want anything in this conversation to go to a separate folder that I can read later. It'll prevent me from missing out on stuff. Or if your boss comes back and said, hey, did you see that email? And you're like, I ignored it. So, and then, quick question, yeah?
How does it recognize conversations?
Great question. We talked ahead of time. So what's happening on the back end, if you open up one of the message headers, you will see a new field called a thread index or a conversation index. And when the mail flows through Exchange 2010, we're able to use a whole bunch of different algorithms to stamp the message. And we use that to allow conversations to appear in Outlook web app. The same experience you get in Outlook 2010, so if we switch to conversations, or on a Windows Mobile 6.1 or Windows Mobile 6.5 device, you also get conversations on here too, on one of these. Does that answer your question? It's not too much rocket science, but it literally is what we're doing in the back end.
Not that technical?
Yes. And there's a lot of things happening under the covers where we use algorithms to understand the gentle differences between messages. We look at a whole bunch of different things using heuristics and things like that to work out if this gets stamped with the same conversation ID.
Okay, because I have two conversations with the same subject, but totally different, ending up in the same conversation.
It's not the same. It's not based on the subject. That's the old conversations you did the subject. It was very, very singularly focused. This looks at a range of different things, not just the subject. All right, so I know we're a few moments over time. We can keep, you're giving me like, you're pouring, you know, kerosene on a fire here. But so that's what I can do as a recipient, right? So these are things I can do to control my inbox. How about stopping me from doing things before I click send? And that's something we call mail tips. I'm gonna show mail tips in Outlook 2010. You get it in an Outlook web app as well. So let's start a new message. And in this new message, I'm going to make the mistake of sending it to all users at Contoso. And you know, I may not have an understanding of that all users at Contoso means 108 recipients. And how about this little bit of X-ray vision I've just been given? I can now be told that some of the recipients on this distribution group are from outside of Contoso. Has that ever happened to anyone's organization where something was sent accidentally and there was someone lurking in the distribution group who was not an appropriate recipient? No? All right, well, you guys are lucky. There's been a lot of cases in the US, including some very famous ones where mail messages were sent to external people by accident, either because the name was very close to another name and it came back in the autofill. Here's that speed bump that prevents you from clicking send and warns you ahead of time that you may want to reconsider what you're doing. It's not just for that. Let's say, for example, we want to send a message to Arnaud. And Arnaud is out of the office. So instead of having to wait for Arnaud's out of the office auto reply, I'm told right here automatically, hey, I'm going to be out of the office. And how great is it that you see right there in the mail tip text, I actually should be sending this to Shane Kim. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to send it to Shane Kim instead. And I've now just saved myself an extra set of email. And there's nothing worse than, especially if you're a Microsoft employee, when you're on vacation, you're still connected. So there's a lot of people who have out-of-office replies. You send them a message. You go, oh, I get the auto response. So I got to send it to Ken because Steven's out of the office. So I start the dialogue with Ken, and we have 1 or 2 mail messages. Steven sees it on his phone and replies back, hey, here you go. And now I have so many extra email messages going on that this takes up a lot of time. In this case, I can just easily do it from here. There are many other mail tips. I think this one is configured. Nope. Anyhow, there are mail tips that can tell you about external recipients, as we saw, distribution group size. You can create custom mail tips, so I can go into a recipient and write a mail tip that will always pop up. This is a really good one for distribution groups that you may not monitor. So you can always have a warning. And it's not just the first time, like an out-of-office response. Every single time you go to that mail tip, that distribution group, it would alert you to this message. So a great feature and functionality that you have right there. And of course, the same thing does show up inside of Outlook web app. So if you go back to Bob Kelly's mail and we click on New, and we look at a mail message, the form may just take a second to load because it's the first time I'm loading it in this environment. So we do that all users. Once again, you see the same mail tips are available there. Cool stuff? All right.